Morning, my friends. Today it's the 29th of September 2025. It's currently around 10 o'clock in the morning. It's 10 a.m. It's not the early mornings. There's a little like a breeze, a very good sunshine, like literally shining in the room, which I like very much. But it's also not like late evening. So it's not like the early mornings, like 6, 7 o'clock, but it's also not like 12, 1 o'clock. I thought it's a good time to actually step in front of a camera and talk about a subject that I like very much. I feel like I've not made these videos in a very long time, and I feel once again more passionate about talking about them and maybe sharing my ideas to the world for the people that are watching. Of course, the only videos that I've made are based on like preparing for a half marathon, which I'm gonna record also today because it's a Monday. Those are like the videos that I record a lot of the times because I'm like very much like focused on that. So I run like 3-4 times a week, and I want to like record my journey and put it online. So for the people that are watching, well, hopefully maybe they get inspired to do the same thing. But in today's video, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to sit in front of a camera and just talk about a subject which I like very much. I've been doing this for the past 2-3 years. It's a passion of mine, to be honest, man. Just sit there and basically like talk to myself about a philosophical subject which I can like go very much in detail and very much in depth about, and just give my own perspective to the story. Maybe hopefully if somebody like comes across my videos, maybe they get inspired by it, maybe they can use the advice, maybe they can like do something with my words and stuff, and then my purpose is fulfilled, man. I feel like if somebody even takes their time of their day to actually watch the videos that I make, hopefully the educational ones and stuff, like my purpose is fulfilled, like my mission is done, I feel like, on this earth. So it's a blessing once again for the people that are watching. I thank you guys very much. The topic of today's video, like the thing that I want to talk about in today's video, is that the destination is the journey itself. So what do I mean by that? I'm gonna give you a quick story about, first when I started this self-improvement journey was back in like 2020, right? So back in like January 2020, I've told this story many times on my channel, but like back in 2020, I started this entire I just turned 16. I started this entire like self-improvement journey. I started meditating at this like very young age, like 16. I learned meditation. I learned like martial arts. I went to the gym on a consistent basis. It was not that very much like serious like I'm doing right now, but it was like still in the progress. Like I was still in the newbie gains, if you want to say that. And I remember one time going to the gym and I was like 5'7". Back then I'm like 5'9", so I've not really grown that much, but it is what it is, man. Genetics are not that great, but it's a blessing once again to even have this height, man. But back then I remember I was not even 60 kg. Right now I'm not even 70 kg, and the reason for that is because I'm running so much. The heaviest I've been is 80 kg and I'm still 5'9". But I was like on the very much of a bulk period and stuff, and I cut that down very much, to be honest, and went to like 71, 70 kg for the summer vacation that I was in Crete. But back then I was not even 60 kg. So I remember going to the gym. My goal, man, like genuinely every single, like my mental energy was so much focused on that, and it was benching 60 kg. Like benching the 60 kg just once, not even like a couple of times, just once. I saw my friends do it. I saw a lot of people that I knew do it, and I just couldn't do it. Like that's the only thing I thought about every single day. Like I would go to school, I would think about benching 60 kg. I would come home, I would think about benching 60 kg. When I went to the gym with my little bicycle, I would think about benching 60 kg. One day I'll go to the gym, like the town where I lived at back like 5 years ago, and I tried the 60 kg. I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna try the 60 kg and just see where it takes me. I didn't have a spotter and stuff, which was pretty embarrassing, but never tried 60 kg in my life, and I didn't even have a spotter. But I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna, regardless of if I make it or not, I'm just gonna do it. So I did it. I loaded the bar with like 20 kg on the left, 20 kg on the right, and I just started to like lift it up first, and then I started to take it down. Well, when I took it down, even when I first lifted up, it was so heavy, like my arms almost like broke and stuff. But I thought, you know what, this is what it takes, David Goggins style, whatever. I lifted it up and I let it like lay down on my chest, and I wanted to push it up. Like I was struggling. I felt like Goku in that moment, to be honest, man. I was like pushing it up, but I never managed to like get it up. So I never managed to like finish the 60 kg. So I couldn't get it up, and I had no spotter back then. So somebody at the gym saw it and they helped me and stuff, and I laughed a little bit off, like it was the first time, whatever. And they laughed as well. It's like, you did great, man. It was like the first try, whatever. It was great. You're gonna come back strong. And I said, yeah, of course, straight. So we're gonna fast forward to like a year and a half later. Still, like in 2021 was this like 2021 July, June. I still had not benched 60 kg because I moved away from like the town where I lived at, and I skipped the gym a little bit, and I went back straight into it like May, June 2021, and I did not really go to the gym, so I became very skinny again, and I was not used to lifting and stuff, so I went back into like the serious mode in June and July, and even back then it was not like serious and stuff. So I went there into the bench press and stuff, and the second time I wanted to bench like the 60 kg again. Back then I was like a little bit like heavier, like I was around 64 kg, 63 kg, so I gained like 4 to 5 kg, but it was like mostly fat because I was not training back then. It was like more belly fat and stuff. I went to this bench again, and I thought, you know what, bro, it's been like a year and a half. It's been like a year later, and I still could not fucking bench the 60 kg. I have to do it right now. And I try it. I go into the bench press. I do the exact same position, like with the arch on my back and stuff, without the spotter again. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it again. No spotter because I'm like 4 or 5 kg like heavier. I'm gonna do it this time. It's gonna be awesome. I go to the bench press and I lift the heavy bar again. And it's pretty embarrassing, man. Like I'm telling this story and stuff, but it's cool. I'm just doing it for the purpose of this video. I'm benching the bar, and I come down, like once again, when I've already like lifted it up, I just felt so like my arms were shaking and stuff. I lift it down and it comes on my chest, and I try to lift it up. But when I do that, it comes like in between. So I lift it up, but not to the point of like wrecking it back on the bar. So I couldn't do it again. So I let it drop on my chest. And once again, somebody there saw it and they helped me to bring back the thing again. I laughed it off again like I did a year and a half ago. And I said, you know what? It is what it is, man. I will come back stronger. And that's what I did. It was like a couple months later, I genuinely benched 60 kg with a couple of my friends. Back then I had a spotter, and it just happened automatically. Like it was not really difficult. It was not really like something I needed to like work very hard for. It was like I was going consistently on the gym and stuff, and I just went to the bench press and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And then I did it. Why am I telling you this story? Like, why am I actually genuinely talking for 8 minutes straight about this story of me bench pressing 60 kg, which was a pretty like embarrassing story. Like when I first started the gym, which was back in like, once again, 2020, like 2019 actually, I could not even lift the bar. I could not even lift the 20 kg, like the bar in itself was 20 kg. I could not even lift that. I was like so skinny. I was 5'6", not even, I would say at the beginning, like 2019, 56 kg, 55 kg. I was so skinny that I could not even lift the bar. And even if I could, it was like swinging and all of that stuff. It was embarrassing, to be honest. It was embarrassing to do that. Like people were seeing me, not even benching the 20 kg and stuff. So I come from a very skinny state of being. Like I come from a very like place where I could not even bench the 20 kg, right? But the reason why I'm telling you this story, my friend, is because it was never about the 60 kg. It was never about benching the 60 kg. It was never about me trying to bench the 60. It was never about the goal. It was about the process. It was about the person that I became when I achieved the goal. I'm gonna tell you another story. We're gonna fast forward to like the exams, my physics and math exams in 2024 for my school and stuff. So I had like 6, 7 exams. I had like for the Dutch language, chemistry, physics, mathematics, biology and stuff. And I was very stressed out. It was back like 2024, so it was like a year and a half ago almost. And I thought I'm not gonna make it. I've studied so hard for this, and I thought, you know what, this is what it takes. Every single exam was like 3 hours. So math exam was 3 hours, physics 3 hours and stuff. I thought I would never make it. It was too hard. Like there was like 2 things to remember. It was like mathematics was very hard, physics was very hard and stuff. I go into the exam hall, which was back in May 2024, and with pretty good preparation. To be honest, when I like step into the exam hall with the thing that I'm like studying for and stuff, I'm very much prepared. Like I've done everything I could have done in my power. I'm not like going there without studying. This is fucking stupid. When I go into the exam hall, I'm very much prepared into the things that I genuinely like study for. Like I'm prepared to actually go to war, you can say. So I go into the exam hall back in May 2024, and I was prepared. I was like feeling pumped up and shit, and also a little bit scary and stuff because I was afraid of not making it. I go into the exam hall. I've studied hours, bro. I've studied days, months, weeks for this fucking exam. And it was a physics exam. I'm gonna like to take the example of like a physics exam. And I go into the exam hall, and it was like, I don't know, 20 questions, something like that. And you had like 3 hours to finish those 20 questions, right? I go into the exam hall, like spit some game into the exam hall and stuff, like do the physics stuff. And it was pretty hard. Like I had a lot of like things on physics. It was not an easy exam, not at all. I go into the exam hall, I make the physics test, and I go out. And about like 2-3 weeks later, we get the results. And I thought, shit, when I actually got out of the exam hall for the physics exam, I did make it. Like I thought to myself, I did make it. Like I thought genuinely that I failed. 2-3 weeks later, we get the results, and I got a 70%, which is a pretty decent grade. It's not the best grade, but it's also not the bad grade. It's like an average grade, you can say. It's 70%. When I thought in reality, I would get like a 50%, something like that. And you needed to at least get like a 5.5, so a 55% to actually pass the exam. And I got like a 70%. So I passed the exam. I got my diploma and stuff, and everything was all good. Once again, why am I telling you this very short story at the end? It's because it was never about the fucking grade. It was never about getting the grade. It was never about attaining the 70%, whatever. It was never about that. It was about the person that I became when I got that grade. That's the moral of this story. That's the moral of this video in itself. That was basically the reason why I wanted to record this video, is basically to say to you guys, for the people that are still watching, it is not about the goal, my friend. If you're trying to achieve something, if you're trying to go beyond the hindrance, if you're trying to, for example, for me, running a half marathon or building a business for you, whatever it may be, like studying for an exam, getting the grade that you want, getting an A, passing your driver license exam, whatever, writing a book, it is never about writing a book. It's never about passing your driving license. It's never about getting the A. It's about the process that it takes in order to get that grade in the first place. It's not about like attaining the grade and like living on a beach in Thailand because you've made it. Life in itself has no end destination. It's like a constant state of improvement every single day. And once again, like I've also talked about in my previous video, God is the observer. That's what I believe. I feel like God is testing you on a daily basis to see if you can pull it off or not, to see if you have the strength to go through that given hindrance, if you have the strength to push through what God has given you. God is testing you every single day. That's the strong belief that I have. It is thus never about achieving the aesthetic physique. It's never about achieving the fucking 60 kg bench press or 100 kg bench press. I've also benched, to be honest, 100 kg. And to be honest, when I benched the 100 kgs, like coming from the place where I come at, like not even benching 20 kg and stuff, finally benching 100 kg, it was like a normal day. It was like nothing. It was like, okay, now what? What is next? Right? As I also talked about in my previous videos, we as human beings are very rational, which basically means we always want to strive towards the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. We're never done when we achieve certain things. This in itself, you can look at it from a positive or negative perspective. It doesn't really matter. This video in itself is not a moral discussion between good and bad. It's more about how you look at it. We can say that we as human beings are rational beings. We always want to strive towards better things. And it's a good thing or a bad thing. It doesn't matter. We can look at it from a positive perspective and we can say it's a good thing. Because when you strive towards better improvement, when you improve yourself to a certain extent, and I feel like if society in itself focused on individualism, so focused on improving themselves first and then attacking the world, I would feel like the society would get better by itself, because then we're not really focused so much on the external things, but we would focus more on the internal state of being of ourselves. If every single person on this planet would focus on fixing their internal state of being, I would feel like the society in itself would like become better as time progresses, because everybody in itself has fixed their internal struggles and right now reflects that internal struggle that's now better on the external circumstances. And when you do that, the external circumstances in itself change, because it's like a mirror analogy, right? When you look in a mirror and you see a sad face, you don't go into the mirror and change the sad face into a happy face. You first need to change the sad face from your own face to a happy face, to a happy smile, and then the mirror changes with it. It's like, this is how reality works. Reality does not change when you go out there and try to change the reality itself. Reality changes when you change yourself, and reality reflects that change like a mirror, right? But that's besides the point. The point that I'm trying to make here is it was never about benching the 60 kg. It was never about benching the 100 kg, because it was like just another day. It's about the journey that you take. It's like the hero's journey that you take in order to become the person that can bench the 100 kg. That is where the satisfaction lies. That is where the peak, you can say, human happiness lies. I feel like that's my opinion, of course. That's the reason why I'm making this video. Everything that I say is my opinion. And from basically the 5.5 years of self-improvement that I've done, it's like, it was never about attaining the physique. It was never about attracting the girls. It was never about like having a muscular face, growing a beard, or like building this business, about having the money. It was never about those things. It was about the person that you were at first and the person that you became at the end of it. It was like this process, this journey. That's why I say the destination is the journey in itself. Because there is no destination. There is no one place you go to. You say, you know what? I've got my bachelor's, I've got my master's, I'm done for life. There is no fixed point in life where you can say that there is no like end destination. Once again, like I said, there is no end destination in life. There is no like, I'm gonna make 10K a month for my business online and I'm gonna like chill on the beach in Thailand. You're gonna get bored of that in like a month, in like not even a month, like a couple of weeks. You need always challenges. You need things to strive towards. And I feel like when we're talking about self-love, for example, I feel like self-love comes from looking to the past and see where you actually came from and seeing where you are right now. If you've done a lot of like self-improvement, like self-actualization work, whatever you want to call it, for a long period of time, for example, let's say years or decades, and you're at the end of that journey, you can say, and you look back from where you actually started. For me, like for example, not even benching the fucking 20 kg bar, and right now being able to bench like 100 kg, that is where the self-love comes from, because you saw where you started in the first place, which was like the skinny kid that could not even bench the 20 kg, and you see yourself where you are right now, being able to bench the 100 kg, and you can find peace in that period of time, in the period of like the journey itself, because you actually got up and actually decided to change your life for the better. And that is where the self-love comes from. That is where you can say, I actually genuinely love myself. Why? Because I decided to go out there and to genuinely change my thought patterns, to genuinely change the patterns of behavior, to genuinely change my physique, my social skills, my whatever it may be. It was that decision to change that is where I feel like the self-love comes from. If you were like fat, for example, I'm just gonna use this analogy. If you were like a very fat person 5 years ago, and I'm talking about like the people that are, of course, like they can do something about it, right? I'm not talking about people that are fat and they cannot do anything about it. I feel like I have a lot of respect for those people, but I feel like if you're very fat and you can literally like go to the gym or go for a run, you can literally do something about that, but you're still the same person after 5 years. I feel like there is no self-love there, and the reason why is because you've done nothing in those 5 years. And then we can ask ourselves the question, for example, does self-love come from genuinely striving towards better things? And I have a very strong opinion, and I think the answer to the question is yes. I feel like self-love comes from doing stuff and seeing where that takes you, and then looking back at it and seeing where you started and seeing where you are right now. It's like in this process, in this journey between those two extremes, you can find peace, you can find the self-love. That is where the self-love comes from, my friend. Well, I have a strong opinion that this comes from that. You can have, of course, a different opinion, but it's all, of course, based on my own perspective. So the moral of the story, the point that I'm trying to make in this video, is that it was never, stop focusing on a destination. It was never about destination. It was never about achieving a certain thing. It was never about that. It was about the journey. It was about the struggle. It was about overcoming hindrances on the path towards the mastery that you want to achieve at a certain craft. Right? It was never about the fucking attaining 10K a month. It's like a fucking number, bro. It's nothing. It is nothing compared to the journey that you have to strive towards in order to get that thing. So that's basically the thing that I want to talk about in this video. Hopefully you like this video. I actually scripted this very much. Like 4 bullet points that I talked about. Hopefully you like this video. If you did, share, subscribe to my channel. Like this video if you want. I really genuinely like these videos, man. Like waking up early in the morning and just talking about a philosophical subject. I see this as a philosophical subject that I like very much, and just genuinely coming in front of a camera and like this in itself is like a very uncomfortable thing for me to do, because first of all, I'm like talking in the English language, which is not my first language. And the second thing is like I have to prepare myself, I have to like write a script and I have to like think about what I want to say and stuff. So it's not an easy thing to do, but this in itself is an example, because this in itself, I find so much pleasure in this uncomfortable thing, because I know that not what this video is going to bring me on YouTube, whatever, I don't really care about that. It's about the journey, even this small little journey of like an hour that it takes to actually record the video. That is where this pleasure comes from. That is where I feel like where you can find the pleasure in uncomfortable things. It's like changing your perspective and seeing it for a given hindrance that you can say God has given you, to see if you can overcome it or not, right? So hopefully you like this video. It's a very like 22 minutes I've been talking right now. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this or I'm just gonna upload this straight on YouTube. But hopefully you liked it. I'm gonna make more of this type of content where I just basically come in front of a camera and just talk about a subject that I like very much and give my own perspective to the story. I feel like hopefully somebody in the world that is watching this video can relate to it, can like hopefully gain some insight from it, and maybe achieve the things that they want, not based on the result, but based on the process that it takes to achieve the result. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did, like I said, subscribe, like, share, whatever. And I see you guys in the next video. Keep taking care of yourself, because you're all you have, my friend. Bye-bye.